All right. We are live again. This isn't the official live show. I'm still testing. I noticed yesterday when I did my test that I felt like I looked a little bit like Stevie Wonder because I was looking at the chat and I was looking at the live viewer count and I was looking at the camera and I was looking at myself. And I didn't watch the whole thing back, but I was like, well, you suck until you get good, right? You suck until you get good. Anyway, I am still getting set up. I've got a gentleman coming over later this week for all of the camera angles set up for the live show, but I didn't want that to stop me from getting the reps in, getting a little bit more familiar, a little bit more practice. And I thought today was a great day to come online because today I released a brand new ebook on fat loss. And so I wanted to just hop on and talk about what it is and why I did it. I actually have been getting questions about this for a really long time because I probably have 500 or 600 episodes on my podcast that are about fat loss, metabolism, hormones, calories, all of those kinds of things. But you'd really have to cherry pick your way through the information to find everything and put it all together for yourself. So I've been getting the request for a really long time, but I was hesitant to do it. And I'll tell you why I was hesitant to do it and why I decided to do it. But the primary reason that I was hesitant to do it is that I do not think we need more information. I really don't. And I think that we've actually become addicted to information. And I talked about that a little bit when I went live yesterday in my first test of the live setup here. And I was talking about how because information is so freely accessible, that's the easy path to take, but information and implementation are totally different. And so I didn't want to just be another voice in the sea of voices saying, hey, do this, not that. So in doing this ebook that is about fat loss and fat loss strategy, the whole first half is on implementation and excuses because it's not that we don't know some of our behaviors are not aligned with our health goals. It's that we are in a pattern of excuse making. So to kind of go back to why I decided to do this, not only is my educational background in nutrition and human metabolism, and I've been working in this industry for 20 years. I've been podcasting for over 10 years, but I wrestled mightily with my weight. I mean, at my heaviest, I was over 350 pounds and I'm only 5'5", right? So at my heaviest, I was in a size 24, 26 in American sizes, seriously obese. And the interesting thing about that time in my life is that I had a degree in nutrition. I worked in the nutrition industry, and it wasn't that I didn't know what to do. It was that I didn't know how to get myself to do it consistently. And that's really what I see. When I was binge eating, I didn't not understand that that wouldn't help me lose weight, right? When I was having fast food for breakfast, I didn't think that that was healthy or going to get me what I wanted. But the problem was fundamentally, I had a dependence on food for self-soothing that wasn't actually the whole story, right? It didn't really soothe me as much as I said that it did. Hey, Mary, glad you're here. I needed to unlearn a lot of very dysfunctional patterns of thought. And yet the easy path I kept taking was just learn more about nutrition, try another diet. So the reason that I was very resistant to writing an ebook is that I understand that for most people, it's not an information problem, it's an implementation issue. And at the same time, I think a lot of the information out there is very all or nothing. And it doesn't reflect the fact that fat loss not only can, but maybe should be a progressive approach based on you and where you are at. So I felt like there was an opportunity to put something out there in that way, and also to synthesize a lot of the information that I've put out over 10 plus years in one place. Even though we have more information than ever and more voices and opinions and free downloads and podcast episodes than ever, I still see that people are remaining stuck in these patterns of pursuing information over implementation, being in all or nothing cycles of behavior, disengaging when they get frustrated instead of doubling down or asking for help, just checking out and being like, well, it's not working, so what's the point? Or being more impulsive than they are intentional. They're great with the intentional plans, but when impulsivity comes up of a bad day or an offer for a cocktail or spouse brought home pizza, all the good intentions go out the window. And so I really wanted to be heavy on the implementation side of things. And I also know I've got tools and resources for that. If somebody gets the data in the ebook and then they say, okay, well, now I need help implementing, I feel confident in my ability to support in that way. Another factor that made me really want to do this is that with this information overload that I think many of us experience, and it's not just with health, it's not just with weight, it's not just with nutrition, it's with finances, it's with politics, it's with child rearing. I always say that it's great as a mom. I've got 3 young kids. My twins are 2.5. My son Roman is 3.5. It's great to have all this information. You know, my mom couldn't just Google something when I was a baby, but it also it's a double-edged sword. It's really tricky to be a mom with all of this information. And what can happen is we feel paralyzed. We feel paralyzed because we don't know how to sort through it. And I believe that that's what's happening around fat loss for so many people is that like, yeah, this information is great, but a lot like being a mom, I feel stuck. I feel like I don't know how to navigate this. I'm not sure how to sort out fact from fiction and how to apply it. So I see people getting in this paralyzed, is it fact, is it fiction? How do I sort through this and make it work for me? And they're getting confused on things like, should I eat more fat or should I eat less fat? Do I need to count calories or can I do it intuitively? And if I'm doing it intuitively, like, how do I know if I'm doing it right? Lots of people are getting lost in the details because the details are so freely accessible before they've mastered the basics. And they're talking themselves out of being in the game because they lack clarity on the details, when if they would just invest in improving in the area of the basics, they would not only feel a lot more relaxed, they would also make progress a lot faster. So those were a lot of the reasons that I decided to do it. You know, I really feel like there's so much great information out there on my podcast, but also in areas that have nothing to do with me. But much of it presents this scenario of like, you either do this plan or you don't do it, right? These are the rules. You either follow them or you don't. And what I wanted to meet people with is the idea of we can progress from your baseline in a way that you feel like you have the capacity to execute it. You feel like it's not depending on this superhero type discipline or willpower to make it happen. I want you to know that it can be progressive from your baseline. You don't have to catch up to somebody else's ideal that feels really far from where you are right now. And though there is a ton of information out there for you, including on my podcast, I didn't want you to have to synthesize it for yourself or troubleshoot for yourself. And I really wanted to be the voice of a personalized progressive approach. And I wanted to be the voice of really getting the basics before worrying about the nuances, the details, the sort of advanced tactics. And I wanted to be the voice of, hey, information is not the be all end all. In fact, information is an entirely separate path than implementation. And most of us need to be on the path of implementation. So I just wanted to hop on here for a few minutes before I go inside and put my twins to bed and give a little bit of context as to why I put out this ebook. It does cover a lot of mindset. It does talk a lot about calories versus hormones and the players in the hormone game and how they function and how we can optimize them. I spend a lot of time talking about carbohydrates, blood sugar, and insulin because that is really kind of the power lever when it comes to fat loss. But I also talk about strategies for eating out. I give some sample days, I give some meal ideas, and I talk a lot about remembering that this is not all or nothing. This not only can, but should be progressive to you. So I'm going to drop the link for how you can get that ebook in the description. Message me if you can't find it. I'll help you out. But I also wanted to say I'm going to be following up it via email with everybody who gets the ebook for your questions. I want your questions. And then I'm going to be doing Q&As just for people who have bought the ebook to answer questions they have about application, questions where maybe they have a need for clarification. So I'm super excited about that over the coming weeks. So grab your copy if you haven't already. If you've got questions about it, let me know. I just wanted to jump on here really quickly so that I can get more comfortable in the live format and figuring things out, but also to address some of the things that have come up today because this ebook just came out. So that's all I have for you, but the live show is coming soon. This isn't it, but it'll be like this. And I hope you guys grab that ebook, and I'll talk to you soon.